Good afternoon, class. This is a kind of special session for G30 Augmentation Debate 1 class. In July, you'll have debates, and this is a demonstration of the whole debate using exactly the same format you are going to debate in your debate round. And also, you will judge debate. So today is your practice of taking notes and judge the debate. Basically, you have learned how to take flow, watching video and those things. So this is a tryout. I think they will sort of carefully outline the argument. So take notes and then write the responses next to the argument. Do not just flow straight. And at the end of the debate, you'll see the flow of argument, the original presentation, the response, further response back, and you will decide which team the better job. You look for those harms. Is the harm significant? And is the problem really inherent problem? Would the plan solve the problem? But you can assume that the zoos would be effectively banned, but the world without zoos would be better than the world with zoos, or the other way around. And after the debate, Dr. Brian Lane, who is the debate coach and the professor of communication, will give us some comments on how to see the debate together with us. Any other things before that? Maybe just a brief introduce yourself, American Debaters, because the students, they all know each other. So on the affirmative we have.
Hello, my name is Sean Lichtenfeld. I am a graduate student at the University of Maryland, where I teach argumentation and debate classes. I will be working with Adi and Nai today to affirm the resolution that zoos should be banned. And I just want to say thank you so much for having us here today. We're very excited to be at Kyushu University, and we'd like to extend our special thanks to Professor Inoue, as well as the debaters for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And on the negative, we have a special guest.
Hello, my name is Edmund Zagrin. I am an assistant debate coach at the University of Michigan. I'm also the director of the Xylem Debate Institute for critical research and debate pedagogy. With me is Sonali and Duan, and we will be arguing that zoos are awesome. We hope to convince you by the end of this debate that they are. Our distinguished and honorable opponents, we look forward to this debate match. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. We'd like to kick off the demonstration debate between two international teams, truly international. The resolution today is that zoos should be banned. We'd like to welcome the first affirmative constructive speech, 6 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adi Guna Bahari, and I'm here as the first speaker for the motion that zoos should be banned. So, first of all, we have two proposals why zoos should be banned. Okay, first of all, I would like to present my proposal that government should enforce the closing down of zoos, and second is that zoos must be replaced by conservation areas, which is proportional to each of the country's needs and size. So I have two contentions for this reason. First of all is that animal stress will always occur in zoos. Zoos will never be able to provide the precise needs for animals because animals taken away from nature will never be able to have a place like its natural home. And in the extreme case, some of these animals are taken away, which is so far away from their natural habitat. For example, in the Alaskan Zoo, they keep an elephant. Could you imagine an elephant, a tropical elephant animal in an Alaskan zoo. And because of this, the elephant would stay inside a building in the zoo for half of the year or maybe even more. Because these elephants, they can't stand the weather, and they have no other choice but to stay inside and be confined to keep living. And if you think about it, the reason is that just so people can see that, wow, this is what an elephant looks like. Well, that could be replaced through TVs or videos. So really, the zoos, they don't really have this very urgent need and it could be replaced by other medias. And also, because of this, Maggie, the name of the elephant, constantly fell ill and need to be treated always by the zookeepers. But then, fortunately, the PETA, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, they finally are able to urge and convince the zookeepers that Maggie should be brought back to the wild in her tropical place. Okay, and this the second point I would like to stress is that animals in zoos, they would suffer from a disorder called zoochosis. This zoochosis was first coined by an animal rights activist called Bill Travers from UK. And this zoochosis is a scientific proof, and such examples are these animals, they would, their life pattern would be disordered. They would trace the zoos back and forth, and elephants would bob their head, and some bears, they even mutilate themselves. So this kind of animal stress, we should think it over. Are zoos really protecting animals? Well, this case proves that that's not the case. Okay, and then the second contention is that a lot of zoos lack standards. For example, subpoint A, human resource lacks quality and often conduct errors. For example, from Washington Post, zebras died because these animals, they are given wrong type of food and not enough food to stay alive during the winter. So these actions makes you think that there's so much factors to be able to go wrong from zoos. And yeah, it comes back to the point that is zoos the most efficient and successful way to protect these animals? And then the second sub point I would like to say is bad management. In Surabaya Zoo in Indonesia, giraffes died unnaturally, and it was found out that there's a lot of plastic bags inside their stomach. So come to think of it, hey, come on, you call it a zoo? So yeah, zoos, they still have a lot of holes that once again does not that does not protect these animals like they should be. And then the last part is that subpoint C, many zoos are still profit oriented. They are ignorant to these animals' well-being. And in European Zoos Association of Aquaria in 2007, it said that member zoos were being actively encouraged to kill unwanted and surplus animals because it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time to manage these zoos, to manage these animals. So if a zoo is still profit oriented, you can't really talk about the well-being of these animals. And so our proposal is that we make natural conservation areas according to each of the country's needs and area land where these animals can roam freely and would still be a part of the nature. And this plan would be able to merge all zoos in the country and make one big sanctuary for these animals where they can live more freely and they would be less disturbed by humans, for example. And in the same place, all the benefits of zoos can still be taken into account in the safari. So it's just a better place than zoos, which is artificial and something not natural. Okay, so that's all I would like to say. I raise my case.
Thank you very much. Now, the affirmative speaker is cross-examined by one of the negative speakers.
Would humans be allowed in these conservation areas?
Well, sure, of course there will be conservation area keepers.
So there would be keepers, but would the general public be allowed in?
Well, such examples like conservation areas in Kenya, in Africa, special people with permits for
So you would have
reason.
to get a permit to go into the conservation area. So like, for example, the people in this room, who many of whom probably don't have like safari permits, would not be able to get in.
Well, no, of course they can. It's just like a zoo ticket. But then,
Okay, so you have to pay and you can go into the conservation area.
Yeah, sure.
Don't you think some of these people will leave plastic bags in the conservation area?
Well, no, of course, because it depends on the people. But then we would
Why
be able
would
to implement.
conservation areas be managed any better than zoos?
Well, because it's a bigger place and there will be
It's
a
a
lot
bigger
of
place, more to go wrong, don't you think?
No, of course not.
Why
Because
not?
there will be a lot of these zoos. They will be together and manage this place. So there will be a lot of inputs and.
In your
a lot of
wildly
factors.
utopian scenario, what compensates for human error?
Pardon?
So let me ask another question. Your first advantage seems to be almost entirely about Alaska. Is there any other problem with zoos? Seems like tropical zoos or maybe zoos in Kenya would avoid the problems with having an elephant in the Arctic Circle.
Well, actually,
Do you have any evidence in your first advantage not about Alaska?
well, there's the zoo in New York where zebras died,
So New York and Alaska, two
and
zoos.
in Indonesia, and
So we can
actually
assume
all
that
over
they're the
place.
exception, probably. Don't you think zebras could eat the wrong food in the wild?
Of course not, because they have their instinct to know which is food, which is not.
Instinct. Do you think zebras are like incredibly intelligent?
At least they're an animal.
They are at least an animal, but don't you think they're an animal that occasionally eats the wrong thing?
Well,
Have you ever eaten the wrong thing?
at least I ate something edible.
Okay. Thank you very much. The 2-minute preparation time. Okay, preparation time is over. We'd like to welcome the first negative constructive speech. 6 minutes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today our team would like to make 2 points for zoo. And first of all, we want to talk about the captive breeding. According to Jennifer Houston's article published in Discord, zoos have saved animals through captive breeding programs. Some breeding programs help to restore endangered species. For example, after 10 years of working to strengthen the population numbers of endangered California condor, a type of vulture, the Los Angeles and San Diego zoos were able to rebuild a population of fewer than 24 birds to around 170 birds. Also, successful breeding programs brought the Pierre Davis deer back from extinction. Though this Asian deer ceased to exist in the wild, Chinese and European zoos program enabled 4 of the deer to be released back into the wild in 1985, where they are now self-sustaining. The point 2 we would like to make is about zoo is necessary for education. First, there is the fact that the normal destination for all elementary school trip is zoo. Why? It basically serves zoo's function as a source of education. Visiting the zoo will certainly help us learn more about the wildlife and witness wild animals by our own eyes. Well, some people can oppose that. Nowadays, kids and even adults can learn about wild animals through the TV. However, we can see that television is so forgettable. You can forget everything you just see just about 1 hour or more. By contrast, visit a zoo is so memorable. A face-to-face confrontation with an elephant is so unlike anything that television could ever produce to you. Only in the flesh, so to speak, can we realize how tall a giraffe is, how Asian monkeys are, and how colorful are the parrots. There is something about the solid, 3-dimensional, living, moving animal with all its smells and noise that imprint itself upon the children. So take children bird watching and they will soon distinction the different kind of birds. And if you can just show them an educational video, they will not able to distinguish a starling from a sparrow. So something about the experience, the sense of occasion that children feel that when they see a live animal, even it's only in the zoo, cannot be replaced by other teaching aids. This is the key to powerful educational potential of the zoo. And now it's our response for the other team's point. They said about the field travel, so-called unqualified activists, the zoo calls it, but according to us, so fiction. And also that if they said the zoonotic disease and that animal got sick and spread disease, we say that zoonotic is not common problems for all zoos and it's not strictly related to zoo. For example, there are a lot of zoos have good living conditions for animals. For example, US alone, there are 214 accredited zoos, ranging from small zoos to the world-renowned zoos, like the San Diego Zoo. The main organization binding this zoo in the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Since 1985, it has been setting standards and raising its level of animal care and saving species from extinction. Second, zoo keeps disabled animals and gives them plenty of food or other quality of life. For example, animals in zoos certainly do not need to care about their food or do not need to care about medicine when they get sick, because the zookeeper will provide them everything for that they can live a present life. More importantly, animals kept in zoo will be protected from hunters, also other threats such as environmental pollution, food depletion, and narrow land. The other team also said conservation area cannot be managed better, but we all know that if we are allowed to go to the conservation area, so it's of course that humans going to make them dirty and dirtier as time passes. So if their quality cannot be any better than zoo, why we need a huge money to change from zoo to conservative area? Also that they said that animal in zoo is suffering, but it's wrong to say that because according to an article published in the Gazette on October 15, 2003, it concludes that many scientists were uncomfortable with the methodology and conclusions of the research done to indicate that the self-destructive behavior in animals arises due to confinement. The article quotes that the study did not address how zoo mortality compares to infant deaths in the wild, nor did it ferret out our differences in basic behavior between zoo stock plucked from their natural habitats and placed into the zoo and those animals bred in captivity. In short, the scientific method which relates to conclusion that the psychological distress is high when animals are in captivity are so ambiguous. Thank you very much for listening.
Now the negative speaker is Scott Lang, one of the authors.
Okay. Can you please list for me every animal you saw the last time you went to the zoo?
Oh, I can list elephant, tiger, lion, rabbit, monkey, and so many.
And so many. What are the other ones?
The other ones, well, I want to impress something that I want to know. It's not, I want to know about everything in the world.
Okay, but you obviously don't remember every single animal you saw the last time you went to the zoo.
Yeah, but I
so
obviously...
zoos aren't memorable, right?
Yeah, but I obviously cannot remember any animal I saw in the TV. So
right,
zoo is still better.
But you could remember things that you learn in a classroom, right?
I can ask everybody here, and actually learning in classroom is not better than we can go to the experience by ourselves.
But you seem to remember debate from learning debate in a classroom. So what you do in a classroom seems to stick with you for longer than just 2 minutes, right?
If we just learn the theory of debate without going to debate itself, we cannot learn anything. That's why we have debate today.
Okay, let me ask you a different question. Things in nature die, right?
Yeah.
In nature, things go extinct. So what gives you the right as a human to intervene in that process?
Well, I don't think that we intervene in that process. It's just we are human and we are also take part in that process. And what we do in the nature is also called the nature itself.
Okay, so you say that in the process of intervening, there are currently good enough standards. Why is it then that in the zoo 2 kilometers from my office, there are baby zebras and baby pandas that are dying all the time?
Well, you cannot see how many babies are dying if they are there in the wild. That's why we cannot compare that.
Okay, thank you.
2 minutes preparation before second. Okay, we'd like to welcome second affirmative constructive speech in 6 minutes.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Nai, and today I'm going to speak about the second negative constructive speech. Can you imagine yourself got caught in a cage? Would you feel if you live in a small place fed daily, and you were always disturbed by visitors? If you feel like you're in a jail, then so do the animals. In biological way, humans are also considered to be animals too. Thus, do we have any right to keep animals? Keeping animals in a zoo is not a right thing to do, and zoos should be banned. Conclusion. Harms. Animals kept in a zoo are suffering. Being kept in a small area and an environment which is different from the natural habitat causes mental health problems for animals. Moreover, they can be stressed by the keepers and the zoo visitors. Discovery News showed teams kept in a zoo display abnormal behaviors. They do other things which are not associated with the wild chimpanzee population, such as banging their head against the surfaces, pulling their hair, or drinking urine. Researchers conclude that the chimpanzee mind might have difficulties dealing with captivity. Moreover, the zoo animals tend to have shorter lifespan than animals living freely in nature. This is an example. In the zoos, 40% of lion cubs die before 1 month of age, whereas in the wild, only 30% of cubs are thought to be died before the 6 months of age. Subpoint B. Tension of being kept in a small area, lack of exercise, mental health problem, nutrient-lacking food, and different climates can cause the sickness of the animals. Furthermore, the disease of an individual can be spread to other animals, so they may get infected and die out. According to Discovery News, a common parasite associated with diarrhea and irritable bowel syndrome appears to be spreading among animals. Furthermore, it can be spread from animals to zookeepers at several zoos worldwide. The news also claimed that zoos are indeed a hotspot for interspecies spread for infectious diseases. Animals which are born and kept in the zoos cannot be released back into the wild. They lost their wild instincts and do not know how to survive in nature. If an individual is released or escapes to the wild without hunting skills, it might not survive. John Ribio claimed about the lost predator instinct of zoos animal that the most common when you're going to the zoo is to watch the animals lazy, relaxing on the shadows of their process, or eating some food that keepers give to them. But in reality, this kind of relaxed situation is not good, especially for predators like tigers or lions, because they lost their animal instincts. Moreover, in response to the first argument that zoos allow breeding, I think because in biological way, we should not interfere the biological activities. And for education, zoos are not required for the education. Why? Because we have textbook, we can study, and we still have documentaries anywhere, like Animal Planet or Discovery channels. So I don't think zoos are required for the general education. And for the conservation areas that Adi have said, that I think for the conservative area, they give more freedom to animals, and people who go there, they can feel the atmosphere of the nature. They give more respect to the animals, and they study how they live in the wild, not they just see the animal being kept in the cages. So it's not for entertainment, but how you can respect the animals there. Okay, thank you very much.
Now, the second affirmative speaker is cross-examined by the negative.
So you said that zoo is bad for education. Do you have any evidence?
I don't say it's bad for education, but I say it's not required for education.
So do you think that learning for wild animal in class only is enough for them?
But actually, do you ask yourself like how often you go to the zoos and you think you're educated from them? You know?
Well, so I can ask you, any one of us when we were child, have any one of us haven't gone to the zoo for at least one?
Yeah, I went to the zoo, and especially I like the zoo a lot. But if you go there, it's like wow, animals are so cute. I like elephants. I like monkeys.
So that's why zoo is for.
No, for example, for me, in my opinion, it's not for wow, animal has 4 legs. I want to know how they eat. I don't know how they, like the system. But I know like I entertain from them. But actually, the thing I really know and understand about their habitats and how can they mate or everything.
Do you think the children think that much?
Wait, can you wait for me to say? And because everything everything I learned from the documentaries like Animal Planets, where they show like how really animals do in the wild. But actually in the zoos, they're just doing nothing except eating, lazy, doing some sleeping in a cage, and then you have to knock them. Hey, wake up! I want to see you do something, right?
Do you think that children think much when they go to the zoo when they're very young?
Because they don't think much. They just go to entertain. That's why they don't educate it from them.
Well, you learn something from them. You just say that is what education for.
It's good.
When we was a kid, we cannot learn so many things. We just learn from a very, very little things.
Yeah, they say it's good for education, but I said it's not required. Actually, it's for basic. But if you want to learn more, you have to study more in a textbook, and then you study about the system of the habitats and how they act and how they mate.
Thank you. Students' preparations. Would you like to welcome second negative constructor?
Okay, hello everyone. So the first point which we would like to raise is the opposite team did not answer our question of the captive breeding. They did not answer anything regarding the necessity to prevent animal extinction. What we feel is important is it is okay for some animals to suffer in zoos rather than the whole species getting extinct. What would you like? Your future generations would not be able to see the animal species, or you would prefer them to be in zoos so that the future generations can see those animals. I would like to extend the point made by Zhuang. Zoos contribute to the protection for wild animals. In the National Geographic News, the Tolde Zoo has been working with Nature Conservancy for a decade to link its Karner blue butterfly breeding program with restoration of butterflies' habitat in the oak savannas of Ohio. The Minnesota Zoo Adopt a Park program donates resources to help save some of the last Sumatran and Java rhinos on Earth. At large, many zoos from across the world are coming forward to protect the endangered species, and the modern-day zoos are the hotspot for wildlife conservation, not hotspots for wildlife infection. Actually, they are better off in captivity since they do not have to worry about the disease, injury, starvation, or predation. As a result, they can live much, much longer. The next point I would like to say is the opposite team said that we are intervening in the process of their cycles. What I would like to ask is, humans are a part of nature. We all agree to that. If humans are the part of this nature, so are the animals in the zoos. And we, as the higher species, we are more developed, we have the right to decide what's best for them. And at this moment, when the animals are going extinct, I think the best thing to do for them is protection. And the zoos are the best places to protect them. We would like to counter-argue the point expressed by the affirmative team. We think that zoos in no way are related to animal suffering. To be specific, when they say that zoos are violating their freedom, freedom is a human concept. Animals have no knowledge of such abstract concepts like freedom. These animals are born in zoos, their parents, their grandparents, and even their future generations will be born in zoos. For example, a lion in a zoo doesn't sit there thinking, I could be in Africa hunting a beast or hunting a tiger there. Because these animals in zoos, they do not know what is Africa, where is Africa? Do they know? No, of course not. So how can they distinguish between freedom? And as long as they are comfortable and they have comfortable place to live, food to eat, and a right social company, I think animals are content, and the point of suffering doesn't come at all. And in no way is their right being violated because animal rights do not really exist. The next point I would like to talk about is the point expressed by Nai. She says that zoos are required for education. She says that zoos are not required for education. I ask you that how do you feel that zoos are not required for education? Zoos are definitely required for education. From childhood, we are being taught that practical knowledge is more important than the theory. We don't think books are more important. We always like to take the practical knowledge, like we have lab classes and everything. Why do we have that? Because we can get practical knowledge. The same goes with zoos. When small kids go to zoos, they get practical knowledge that how does the animal really look like? How does it react to our whatever we do? Like how does it react to our love? How does it react to our affection? How scared they get when they're hungry? Something like that. So these things cannot be seen in the documentary. What we see in documentary is a picture-perfect animal roaming in the zoo, roaming in the wildlife, having fun. But that's not true. We would like to see how the animal reacts when it is hungry or when it is given love. We cannot see that in the wildlife zoos. Wildlife land. So that is what I would like to say. In addition, we have zoos which have education department, a class full of education officers and extra teaching support in summer. Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland has pioneered a scheme called Interlink, which combines the resources of zoo, local museums, and botanic gardens to create educational courses. Like several other zoos, it offers teachers a range of courses from day trips with infants to intensive courses for advanced level students and even graduates. So these are a clear indicator that zoos are good for education purpose and they are required for education purpose. This is what I would like to say. Thank you very much.
2 minutes cross-examination.
Hello, Sonali. Okay, I'll ask you a long question and then listen to my whole question.
Okay,
and then
sure,
let me answer,
go
okay?
ahead.
Okay. Are you animal in zoos?
No.
No, right? How can you know that they are suffering? They are not suffering.
How do you know they are suffering?
Oh, wait. And then you say that because we are higher species, and then we decide what is the best for them. The thing I want to ask that we decide what is the best for them. What is the best for us? The best for them, they're suffering. They keep the case. They don't feel good. They don't feel comfortable. But for us, the best for us is because we just want it to exist for our future
I
generations.
said the best for them when the species are going extinct. What would you like? The animals to die away so that your future generation cannot even see what that animal looks like.
So
do you
that's
want that?
for us. That's not for them. For them, they just don't want to be in the cage. But for us, we just want it to exist.
So,
and
if we are saving that species, it means it's good for them, right? We are increasing the gene diversity, and that's basically what we want.
what we want, but not they want.
Of course they want that.
How come? How can you know that they want
So
that?
do you think the animal wants to die? Do you think the animal prays every day that, oh, I want to die?
For me, if
No,
an
of
animal,
course not.
I don't know when am I going to die, but I don't want to be kept in a cage.
Yes, you don't want to die basically, right? You don't know when you're going to die. But if we know that animal is going to die, it's our duty to protect it. Why would you simply leave it to die?
So
is that what
actually,
humanity is?
You know what? The animal's going to die because of the, our activities. But if you want to do that,
Yes, animals are going to die because of our activities, but they can be saved at the same time because of our activities. And human intervention is important, and zoos are the best method to do that.
do you think it's the best method? Do we have nothing? Why don't you do like, okay, you can stop everything, like you stop that human activities?
Yes, we are doing that. These two things are going parallel. We are stopping human activities and doing the intervention.
Thank you.
1 minute preparation before first negative rebuttal. Now, I would like to welcome first negative rebuttal. 3 minutes.
Thanks.
When you start with the affirmative side, the rebuttal speech is starting from the negative.
Hello, so I would like to start our rebuttal. So the other team said that zoo make some mental health problem for the animals suffering in zoo, but our response is that yes, that is not qualified. They said about the bill travel thing. So for us, it's so fiction, as I said before, and also that there are also many good zoo with good condition. We only say that we should keep good zoo. We don't say we should keep all the zoo. We just say we cannot get rid of all the zoos. So, as I said before, there are at least 214 in the USA only at the zoo are accredited. So, they are so good zoo. Why we need to get rid of them? Where animal can go? And they say that animal cannot come back to the wild after release from zoo. So if we close all the zoo, where could animal go? We just leave them there or kill them at all in once. So they make a resolution, but they cannot go to the how can we solve the problem that they rise. Also, they said that some animal in zoo have different climates and it contributes to the sickness of animal, but it's only some zoo, right? And it's very short period. And people in zoo, especially the zookeeper, can take care of them and give them medicine. Can the animal get medicine when they are in the wild? Of course they can. So they can just like that and die. And also, we would like to say about the behavioral enrichment. It said that in some article, the animal experts say a landscape immersion exhibit can be transforming experience. When visitors form an emotional connection with the animal, they also take home a larger conservation message. In short, it can be said that nowadays zoos are being used as a medium to take the public aware about the importance of wildlife conservation. And you know that as human is a part of nature, and also animal is a part of nature, it's proof that the connection between human and other animal needs to be improved. So taking the children to the zoo will improve their connection with the animal, will increase their love toward the animal, so the next generation will know more knowledge about saving animal from going extinct. So that's what all the zoo about. And thank you very much. That's all I would like to say.
Now we have 3 minutes preparation for first affirmative rebuttal. Okay, we'd like to welcome first affirmative rebuttal speech. 3 minutes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to guide you to where this debate has been going. So, first of all, they said that freedom is a human concept and we should respect it. But hello, Zeus. How do you think animals are to Zeus? It means that you are contradicting to what you say as freedom is a human concept. So why are we caging animals instead? And the second part is that they said if humans are a part of nature, so are animals and Zeus. Hello, Zeus are human-made. They don't spring in nature. So clearly, Zeus are not a part of nature. Okay, and they keep saying that Zoochosis is made by this Bill Travis, and that's fiction. Hello, we have facts. We have facts that said animals are going wrong. They are pacing back and forth. They're bobbing their heads. Is that natural? So how can you say that this is fiction? While we have facts that we state that these behavior are happening, and we can't do we can't do nothing to it. I mean, we have to do something, right? We have to provide them better care, better place. And that is where our proposal stands. We propose as a safari, make natural conservation areas where it will go out in a phase plan, like what my second affirmative speaker said. That this is a long-term plan where Zeus that are here in the current time should be the last Zeus, and no more Zeus should be kept. So these animals can slowly be taken into these natural conservation areas. Thus, their wild instinct would be brought back to them. And I would like to say that they did not touch anything on how safaris are worse than zoos. If you have to keep in mind that we always said that these kinds of education, this captive breeding, this can still be implemented in safaris. So safaris are better than zoos, and they did not defend, not even one point, why zoos are better than safari. While we know that as my second speaker said, that animals in zoos, they are caged, they are caged and they are not free. So our proposal still stands, and it stands strong. And so one thing about natural selection, you should know that animals, they belong to nature, and extinction is something a part of nature. And some animals are even have lived way back before humans do. And so who are we to interrupt in this kind of process? It's like so what they say about, yeah, we should save this. We should go actively save. It's not wrong, and I think we should bring it back to nature to let it do the natural selection. Thank you very much.
2 minutes preparation before second negative rebuttal. Preparation time is over. Would you like to welcome second negative rebuttal speech? 3 minutes.
Thank you. First, I would like to talk about captive breeding programs. The last affirmative speech was the first we heard from them about the importance of these programs to the future of animal species. There have been numerous successful examples, from the California condor to the Asian deer to the Jakarta rhinoceros. They have never refuted that these are essential to animal survival, animal well-being, and the future generations of animals and humans interacting. Now, this debate has gotten a little bit philosophical. Human freedom concept, what does all of this stuff mean? Survival is not a human concept. If you are dead, you are dead. If a species goes extinct, it is never coming back. That is not for future generations to enjoy, of humans or animals. This means that their arguments do not apply. Furthermore, do you know what a human concept is? Conservation zones. Those are a human concept intervening into the natural world. Humans are a part of nature. To extract ourselves from the natural world is in fact a contradiction, which means that the affirmative plan has no logical coherence. Now, they say it's self-evident that animals are suffering. Do you know what animals are thinking? Can you read their minds? No. Animals are inaccessible to humans. We have pretty good evidence from many scientists indicating that animals are incredibly happy in zoos. that they love their zookeepers. They enjoy getting regular meals, relaxation, and good medicine, which, by the way, you can't get in a conservation zone. So when you get sick out there in safari land, you're going to die. You think animals like dying? She and Nye was like, yeah, animals like dying, and then this guy said extinction is okay. I don't really think that extinction is something that animal species desire. Either way, it's impossible to say what animals truly want. So you should be safe than sorry and keep them alive so that future generations can enjoy a connection with nature. Now, they say that conservation parks are able to have captive breeding programs. This argument is new. You should not evaluate it. However, captive breeding programs, captive, key word, in a conservation park, you are not able to capture the animals, thus you are not able to monitor their breeding. The pandas wander away from each other and don't breed, which means there are no baby pandas, which means all the pandas die. They have no evidence on this point, and there is no evidence indicating that breeding can occur naturally when species are headed for extinction. This means that safaris do not stop. Finally, they argue that extinction is a natural part of the process and animals should just die. Well, then why would you have conservation zones? This argument implicitly cuts both ways, which means that if you think human intervention is bad, then it's just as bad for zoos as it is for conservation parks. Thank you.
Student preparation before the exam. I would like to welcome the last speech of this debate.
Overview. This debate comes down to animal rights versus human education. The entirety of their argument is that a child going to a zoo is more important than preventing animals from dying from disease. Seriously? Are you kidding me? You can't get education from a textbook or a classroom or a safari or a documentary? Meanwhile, baby pandas are dying so that your kid can watch them poop. That is not okay. And when students go to the zoo, they go, oh, super kawaii, They don't actually learn, which means that animals die so that we can watch. If you think that's okay, then vote negative. But I know that every single one of you in this room knows better than that, and that's why you'll side with the affirmative in today's debate. Now, they say that zoos prevent extinction, but extend the two arguments that we have made. First of all, extinction in some cases is okay if it happens in nature, right? That's natural selection. But it's not okay for animals to die early because they were exposed to diseases in the zoo. That's like the difference between Edmund dying because he's old versus dying because I killed him. One of those is preferable to the other. Now, they're absolutely right that animals will not come back if they go extinct. But they are going to become extinct faster if they are exposed to diseases and not fed the right foods, which is what happens in zoos. Our argument isn't that human intervention is bad. Our argument is that human intervention needs to be done properly, and we have evidence to suggest that in the status quo, that doesn't happen at zoos. Now, they talk about how education is so important, but first of all, there are other means of education. You can cross-apply what I said in the overview about how there are things like safaris and textbooks, etc. But furthermore, just looking at an animal isn't good education. That's like saying that I looked at that video camera and now I'm an expert in electronics. That doesn't make any sense. So extend our 3 offensive reasons why zoos are bad and should be banned. First, zoos cause stress to animals. You cannot have an elephant live in a room in Alaska. That causes animal stress, which causes animals to die. Second, extend that zoos are currently mismanaged. They don't have enough funding or education, and so there is premature death, which is exactly the impact that they claim to be able to solve. Finally, extend that there is zoochosis, which means that animals are suffering psychological drawbacks. That's not okay. That's why you vote affirmative.
Maybe you want to cross borders and
You gotta shake
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Hello, how are you? Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. First of all, I would like to copyright and trademark my new upcoming dubstep hip-hop band called Zoochosis. Don't steal that name. I just owned it, and this is on video, so you have no luck. So, first of all, I think we should congratulate all of the debaters. Edmund had to step outside for just 1 second, but didn't they all do a really good job? Didn't they do a fantastic job? Let's congratulate them. So now we come to the most interesting part of the debate. The debate itself presented us with many ideas, and there are many things for you to consider. But if you're sitting where you are right now, then you have to come to some decision. You have to go through some process to arrive at a decision. And you only have two choices. Okay? You can only decide that the better debating was done by the affirmative or the negative. You can't say, oh, I don't know. And you can't say, well, they both did very, very good. Okay? You have to make a decision. You have a forced choice when you are judging. Okay? You must make some sort of decision. So there are probably a variety of ways to make a decision. In the last couple speeches, the last two speeches in particular, did you sort of have like a feeling, like you were thinking one side was ahead of the other? I'm using like a race analogy, that one side is like more ahead than the other. Did you sort of have a feeling in your stomach? You thought, okay. And I'm not talking about you wanted to throw up. I mean, you had some sort of feeling in your stomach like, I think I agree more with one side than the other. You have that sort of feeling. You have that sort of feeling. Up and down means yes, and side to side means no. Yes, you have sort of feeling. You're still not sure. Okay, we're still thinking about it. Well, here's the one thing I want to say. Sometimes that sort of feeling in your stomach, that can be a good thing, but sometimes that can be a problem also. Sometimes your first reaction might not be the best reaction. So the one thing you've got to be careful of with debate is you've got to be careful to make sure that the sides were doing a good job of arguing, which is why you've been taking notes all this time, so that you can make sure that the arguments keep on responding to the crucial points. And the debaters, they should help you on this. They should point out when the other side had some problems. Okay, that's not just your job, okay, as a judge. The debaters should point out, well, the other side didn't respond to this argument. They didn't refute this argument. Okay, that is the debater's job. If a debater sees something and they see an important point that they made, and the other side missed their opportunity to respond to it, they shouldn't keep it like a secret, like, oh, I know something. Yeah, they have to tell you that as a judge. They have to tell you, oh, there was a missed opportunity, and that's an important part. Now, missed opportunity in and of itself, that might not be enough for the entire debate to be decided over it. It might just be one point. So we got to ask ourselves, how can we arrive at a good decision for a debate? Now, here's the thing about debate. It's one overarching rule about a debate. Debate is always comparative. So you got one side, they just have to be a little bit better than the other side. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, they don't have to make every point as strongly as possible. They don't have to be flawless. They just have to be a little bit better than the other side. So it has to be comparative. So I'm going to use an analogy for how you might go about the process of deciding. Okay, and this analogy has to do with like a scale, okay, that measures what thing is heavier or what thing is larger. So I'm gonna draw off here, and let's imagine a sort of scale. And you can tell already that I am not an artist. Okay, so the first problem I have is I am not good at art. So this is, so let's just imagine this is some sort of scale, okay? Make sense? Up and down is yes, side to side is no. Yes? Okay, so in this we got two baskets, one for the affirmative side and one for the negative side. We could even be more specific in this debate. We could name these baskets because the debaters did that for us. So the name of this basket is the conservation area. And the name of this area is, come on, you were listening a little bit. Zoos. Zoos. Okay, and so the question is, what kind of items did each team put into their basket that they said were the benefits of these two things? So the negative, for example, said, okay, we got captive breeding. It's in the basket. And they said education. In the basket. And over on this side, they said that stress on animals, right? That's the first one mentioned? Stress. Is in the basket. And zoochosis, my new band. Zoochosis TM. Trademark. Zoochosis. Now, for each of these issues, just saying the name is probably not enough. Hopefully, by now, you understand the argument. But there's more involved than just understanding the argument. There are two things. Probably there is some sort of chance that both the affirmative and the negative were actually correct in this. So let's take this example of zoochosis, okay? So there's what we might call some sort of risk. And their argument is that animals in zoos develop some kind of diseases that are caused by zoos, like chimpanzees can't handle living in captivity, right? Okay, so there's a chance that that happens, and then there has to be some importance to it. Or sometimes we say impact. Both of these things are important, okay? So there's a chance that animals have problems in captivity, and there is a certain importance that we attach to that. And the other side can attack both of these, and they can have different results. So the other side can say, yeah, we agree that this happens, but like it's not a big problem. Or they could say, this doesn't happen, even though it's a big problem. Or they could say both. And they could say, this doesn't happen, and even if it did happen, not a big problem. In this case, with zoochosis, if you were listening along, the negative said, this doesn't really happen. There are problems with the theories behind this. They didn't really say it's not important. They didn't say diseases that animals get while they're in captivity are not important, because probably that would contradict with some of their other points that they are making. So for each one of these, you've got to take the sort of risk and multiply that times the importance that's going on. Risk times importance, risk times importance. And that maybe gives a better sense of which one of these baskets is heavier. And that's how we do things in our own life, actually. That's how we make cost-benefit comparisons in our own life. If you have a headache and you walk into the doctor's office and the doctor says, I'll give you one pill and it costs 10 yen and it will definitely solve this problem, how many of you will buy that 10 yen pill? Yes, everyone. Everyone's going to buy that. If you have a headache and you walk into a doctor and they say, this is going to cost about 30,000 yen and it's got about a 1% chance of solving your headache, nobody's going to buy that pill. Okay, so we all perform these kind of comparisons with the risk versus the reward, basically, that's going on in here. Now, the other thing you have to pay attention to when you're evaluating the debate is the job that the different speakers do in trying to make the comparative case. So, like the negative, it's all fired up about this captive breeding program. Oh my God, they go on and 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 on about this argument in every speech. They're talking about this captive breeding program thing. What about the other side? Well, they didn't mention it that much. And that may or may not be a problem, depending on what the risk versus reward is for you in this particular issue. Now, on the other hand, like Sean in the last speech, he's got some awesome replies to the education argument. So he's sort of replying to this education argument, saying this is a bad argument, they shouldn't have brought it up, we definitely defeated them on this education, it's not a big deal. And like, rhetorically, it's powerful. Sean did a nice job. He's convincing you that this education argument is really, really dumb. Stupid, not cool like zoochosis, which is trademarked. It's dumb. But even if he's right, that you can take this off the balance sheet, is that enough in the balance? Right? So basically, it seems to me the question in this debate is not really captive breeding and education versus zoochosis and stress. It's really a question of weighing captive breeding versus stress. Because both sides have good arguments on those issues. And you need to figure out, based on what the debaters said, how important is this issue? So just in your mind, do you think captive breeding, a program that can deal with the problem of animal extinction, is more important than the animal stress that's caused from the zoos? And do you think they are actually winning this argument? Or are there serious problems with the risk versus reward calculation? So if you want to figure out how you can make a good decision, yes, like your stomach is going to be important in that, but you've got to ask yourself, what's the actual risk versus reward of each side? And it's got to be comparative. And if it's just a little bit more on one side, that's probably enough to say that side did the better debating, or that they won the argument. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't mean that you've changed your mind. Doesn't mean you're going to join my new band called Zoochosis, although you should. Doesn't mean any of those things. But it does mean that for the purposes of this debate, you have rendered a decision based on what the debaters were talking about. So I think those are some good instructions to start thinking about how you're going to make a decision.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, so I'll just say a few things. One, it's been a pleasure debating in front of all of you and against this team. We're so happy to have been invited here. Honored, really. I just want to say a few things about debating and a couple techniques that I think may be of interest to y'all as you move forward with your debate career. First is that it's interesting to see how arguments develop. Arguments may start from sort of sets of data or research, appeals to expert opinion, historical examples, or particular cases, and then they grow throughout the debate as different points are taken by both sides as true. So essentially, debate proceeds from agreement to focus on points of contention. So we see throughout the debate, different speakers agree with their opponents in order to highlight those moments of disagreement that revolve around the central question of whether or not zoos should be banned. So for example, they had a lot of arguments about why there were certain zoos, such as like the Alaskan Zoo, the New York Zoo, and so on, that were bad. We agreed with them that those zoos were bad and said we didn't have to win that all zoos were good, just that some or one zoo was good, in order to win that not all zoos should be banned. So phrasing and framing the question by strategically agreeing with your opponents can be a really good way to improve your debating skills and to develop really focused positions. The last thing I'll say is that it's really good to focus on the different reasons why something is true and to make a comparison. So in this debate, one thing that I was really interested to see happen is how the idea of human and nature got really sort of meshed up in each other. You know, and these are concepts that don't really have a rigid philosophical separation from each other. And so it's really complicated, even in high-powered environmental debates today, to separate what the human from the natural. And so you can admit to yourself that these ideas themselves are confused. You can say that the very meaning of the terms are confused. But you still have an obligation to think about what the effects of certain policies are. So from confusion, you proceed with clarity. That was more than 2 minutes.
Thank you.
So I would encourage you all now have a video of this debate. I know a number of you have said, oh, I'm not very experienced, or I don't really get debate, but that isn't going to change until you have that experience. So watch the video. I know it'll be kind of boring to see something over and over again, but watch it a couple of times and use it not only to look at what each debater is doing, right? It's a lot to process here, but if you are watching a video, you can stop, rewind, go forward. And then also take one speech, any speech in the debate, and practice giving a rebuttal. Do it in front of the mirror, do it in front of your sister, do it in front of your, like, I don't know, on the way to school. Wherever you want to do that, practice giving a response, because the only way you'll get better at debate is by speaking every single day. So if you can take this and use it as a tool, then you're going to be really awesome really fast. So thank you again for having us. We found it really enjoyable.
Next time, you will debate. See you next week.